Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. We are back again, your favorite trio that claims to talk about hockey, but barely does, on a twice-a-week basis. Endo Mills, you have returned. You have blessed us with your appearance. How are you, my friend?
I'm old. How are you?
And you did just have a birthday.
Yeah, and I spent it covered in soot and everything else. Long story. But,
Went back to your
I'm
roots
doing
as
all
a
right.
chimney sweep.
Yeah, I went back to my roots. My 25th birthday was like, I'm going to go back in there and just... Yeah, you could say that.
For anyone who doesn't know, can you please post that picture again, like on your Twitter or something, so people...
I think it's on... I have it up on my Instagram, I think. A picture of me as a child with a chimney sweeper hat. My mom's like, "Oh, I used to dress super nice." Like, no, look at my name could have been Tiny Tim. Like, what the hell? It's really funny as I say this. Apparently, my stepdad has found out about the podcast and everything. So he talked to me on the weekend. We were at the Marlies game. He said, "You have a podcast. It's so nice, but you swear a lot." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I swear a lot." And and they're all like, "Hey, you should like tone down your vulgarity of your language." And I'm like, "Well, what if I don't want to? What if I just want to use my mouth the way I please?" Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
That's the key to a happy life, Endo.
Mouth pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
We have an episode title. At least it's in the running. In a sense, though, he's not wrong. Also, that picture of you in that hat is up on your Instagram. So, everybody, it is at Endo Mills on Instagram. There you go. He's not wrong. Like, I've thought about that before in terms of the content that I make. This obviously included.
Yeah, me too.
In terms of language, and I'm like, okay, does it hold me back at all? At the same time, is it that big of a deal? Modern day?
I used to get a lot of comments back in like NHL 17, 18. Like someone like, "Hey, can you please like stop swearing? My mom won't let me watch this." I was like, "Shit," and I'm like, "Yeah, like I should."
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I swear a lot. I cuss a lot. I don't know what it's from. I just do. And at this point, it's second nature to be so. I would feel like I'd be not my authentic self if I, at least for a long time, if I had to completely cut it out for my content.
I mean, I can see the viewpoint of like, hey, this is technically like your business and you want to be as professional as possible. There's just something about it to me that doesn't view it as like inherently unprofessional. And maybe I should view it that way. But I also see like, okay, they might be exceptions to the rule, but like, who are the biggest creators? Who are the biggest podcasters? And do they hold back? No.
Yeah.
It's just, it's one of those things where you can have that. I don't like the idea of, hey, look, I get it. This is a job in a sense. But I also don't like the feeling of I have to be on eggshells of, oh, I can't accidentally swear all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, if one pops out now here and there, that's fine. I even told my mom, like, if you want to watch like no non-swearing or any of my content like that, watch me when I fill in for Sports Gamer, which is like once every month or so. Do that. Because we've all been PG on that.
That's the thing between me and Tougie. We're like, how do we switch it off? Because we curse a lot, both of us. Yeah. And for some reason, when we're doing Sports Gamer, for me, it's almost like I always hold other content to like a higher standard than my own, where it's like I have this level of professionalism. Like, this isn't mine. So I guess for me, it's just more of a respect thing and like a decency thing. It's like, I don't know. I have that switch I could flip, but I don't do it for my own content. Because for me, my authentic self is me dropping F-bombs at shitty EA AI or being pissed that I got clipped on the boards after I self-sauce was almost around the goddamn defenseman. Like that's who I am, and I feel like my like I always have to be my authentic self when it's my own product, when I own it. Like, and that's my authentic self is I curse a lot. And like Tougie mentioned, it's not inherently a bad thing. You think of like, big podcasters, big people in general. One of the most brilliant minds in marketing, one of the most brilliant mass media people on this planet drops an F-bomb like every sentence. Gary Vaynerchuk, for those of you who know him, have followed him, listened to him, that dude curses so freaking much.
Dude, Gary V. Jesus. Yeah. I'm gonna go to this pawn shop and I'm gonna do this. And was his videos about him going to like garage sales and all that? They cracks me up when you watch it unironically.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had that balance of like, man, should I try to clean it up a bit? But I also think like the way that you use the words is important.
Yeah.
You know, if I say fuck every 5 words, it's like, okay, it loses its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the tone of what you're saying, it's the context, and it's just it's a whole
flavor.
For me, it's just when it flows out naturally, it is what it is, because that's just who I am. Like, I never over swear.
It's tough when it's just, hey, here's the 3 of us just shooting the shit about hockey and Pokemon. It's very tough, like to be like, no, this is a professional setting. But yeah, like if it's somebody else's brand that you're working for, if it's not like, so for example, today, you guys know this, we were a little bit late starting the show. I was behind because I had to go help the fiance, who is a music teacher at an elementary school. I had to go help her get set up for the spring concert tomorrow. I have been adopted as the sound engineer, essentially, which involves hitting like 3 buttons and setting up a lot of chords. Whatever, no problem. It's not like I'm walking into this elementary school going, you fucking kids, I remember being your height when I was 6.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're in that setting, it's like, okay, cool. It's not like, Sin or I walk into a bank, it's like, give me my fucking money, because especially they would think that we're robbing them, and that would be great. I don't know how we got onto this, but hopefully mouth-pleasing stays as the episode title. And hello to Endo's stepdad. We hope to have you on the show one day. Endo's family members
That's okay. That's okay. We had one who speaks enough for the 2 of them, okay? We're good on that behalf. We're fine.
Okay. Fair enough.
We're okay.
The offer's out there. Let us know.
Just sitting there.
We have a couple of viewer questions to get to before talking a lot about playoff hockey. But of course, before we do that, as always, we need to mention that this podcast is brought to you by our lovely friends at Manscaped. You can go to manscaped.com and use the code Tougie, that's TOUGIE, for 20% off your order and free shipping. My goodness, what a deal from our friends at Manscaped. And again, we always say it, head to toe, they have you covered. It's the best you can get in the world of grooming. Still highly recommend the Performance Package 4.0, especially the lovely lawnmower. But of course, they got the Weed Whacker for nose and ear hair that works tremendously well. Tremendous. Manscaped.com. Code Tougie. Yeah. Oh, I have mine too. The old cylindrical deodorant. I have
it's
mine too.
So good.
It's a necessity. Just
so good.
Don't leave it tipped over on your desk. The some of the I'm gonna go with oil for lack of a better term. It puddled a bit.
Ooh.
How hot is your office space?
Not.
How?
But maybe it was on that day.
Yeah, I mean my place is like a crispy 5 degrees right now, so.
Fair enough.
Celsius,
our first question comes from one Scroopy Noopers, and again, you can leave your questions in on the Discord. Link is in the description. We cut out a few of them because we're going to be naturally answering them throughout the course of the show. Anyway, from Scroopy Noopers. What was your main in World of Warcraft? I was a night elf druid named Raven Fury. This is the question for name. Sin for the win.
Yeah. Oh man, I had several throughout the years. I'm just going to talk about some of them. Once Legion came out, because I was so behind, because my cycle is always, I eventually stopped playing during an expansion life. That's, I don't know. I continued to lose interest over the years. Haven't even bought the latest expansion and haven't played it. So maybe the end of my World of Warcraft journey. But during that, I had a demon hunter named Painkiller, which is a name of one of the randomly generated names that you can have for a demon hunter hero in Warcraft 3. Nerd as fuck. So I did that. Another one of my favorite ones was oh my god, I'm forgetting the name now. But I'd always, once I switched to Alliance, after I started maining on Alliance, I'd always have a paladin who I would like kind of just roleplay as, essentially, and I would transmog all his gear to look like a Warcraft 3 paladin and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's so many I did over the years, but my first ever World of Warcraft character was named Cinder Strike with Ys. Obviously, Cinder with the Y, Strike with the Y, and it was just Orc Warrior, and that's how I started on World of Warcraft back in Classic, the OG. And man, I miss those days. Even playing Warcraft Classic when it came out. Loved getting back into the world PvP, attacking the big-ass cities with huge groups of 50 to 100 guys. And then, of course, as they release the subsequent classic expansions, that dies. And so I don't have as much interest in PvE as I did in PvP. And so, yeah.
I have a tough time remembering. My Warcraft days ended sometime towards like the fall of 2007. So there was some Burning Crusade expansion, which was like the first one for, I mean, at least WoW as it was in like 2004. I just don't remember. Like I have general memories of that time, but in terms of specifics, even down to like, oh, what was the main character? I don't remember. It's all just a blur at this point. And again, I think it's because, and I told the story of this. I mean, you're talking, I was 13 at the time, 12, 13, and I didn't have my own account. My sister's like, oh yeah, just make a secondary character on my account. Who gives a damn? She lost her account. So without any closure whatsoever, my character was gone. Yep. And I'm just like, okay, nope, I am emotionally separated from this after the immense disappointment, and I never went back to the game. So I feel like I just kind of cut all ties right then and there, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. So yeah, a lot's gone, unfortunately. But I do recall having a good amount of fun. I do, especially the the masses at the auction houses. Just that's probably my greatest
and there was
memory.
always one city that was so vastly populated compared to all the others, and it went in line. Like when Burning Crusade came out, everyone wanted to be at fucking Silver Moon or the Drenner one. I forget what it's called, because back then I mained Horde. Yeah, every single expansion, like, it changes where everyone hangs out, but it's the main capital cities that people are always in. Orgrimmar or Stormwind, there's always a decent chunk of people there.
I'm glad you have a stronger memory for stuff like this than I do.
God,
not that I don't wish I had it, but
like I miss the old days of Warcraft, just the way I miss that first month of Pokemon Go. It's just, you're never gonna get it back. I had the chance in WoW Classic, and good God, I had so much fun. Forget how challenging that game was in the early ones. Man, it was crazy. Like, some quests you legit need to play with other people. Nowadays, it's just easy mode. You can run around, and I fucking almost maxed a character out in a day last time I was playing. Like, it's crazy.
Fun times. Good memories. Our other question from Leafs ended the drought, and don't worry, we'll get to the Leafs in a little bit. Why do you think fans are so quick to forget how a talented player in any sport... okay, let me reread this. Why do you think fans are so quick to forget how talented a player is, or how good a player is after falling short with a bad run of form?
Two things. Recency bias and instant gratification. People don't want to wait for certain things to happen. They want things to happen immediately. Why else do you think, like, TikTok videos of, like, anything on social media are all like, you have the main thing that's on the top, and you have like Subway Surfers or Temple Run or some other bullshit in the bottom, because people's attention spans are so short nowadays. People don't want to wait for an end result to happen. It's also why people are asking for Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe to hit the road and to break up the core four, because they're getting impatient. There's other reasons behind that completely, but just the main reasons why people are looking to get rid of Keefe and Dubas at the same time is because they want the instant gratification, and nothing will suffice that fan base than a cup. They can win a President's Trophy, not a cup, not a real win.
So, I have some breaking news. Endo, you fucking nailed it, by the way. You absolutely nailed it.
I'm going to have a counter to that in a bit, but yeah, go ahead.
So, I was prepping to talk about our next story in our general section here. And I went to Elite Prospects to do so. And I have been met with a page saying there is an issue with your premium payment. I can't help but think someone on Elite Prospects listens to the show, and I may have told on myself, and now I'm getting recharged for the premium aspects.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I told on myself, and now...
you cocky bastard. They got you.
We had such great memories and great times, though, didn't we, EP? Didn't we? Well, hey.
Well, now you don't plug him anymore. Simple.
No. Now I'm all about hockey reference and Dauber prospects and
Hockey DB.
Your loss for $10 or $15, whatever their charges.
Yeah.
Elite Prospects. Fucked up.
Sin, your counterpoint before we do talk about that next story.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity in what people are saying. Yes, I agree that there is a lot of, people want instant gratification. That's very, very true, especially in the society where you want bite-sized content. But when people are talking about let's throw Dubas and Keefe out, at the same time, they've worked the process. 2017 was the first time the Leafs broke into the playoffs with this new core. It's 2023. They made it out of the first round and got one win. I don't think it's people overreacting at this point. I think people are actually just fed up. And at this point, it'd be stupid not to change something. Because the definition of insanity is to continue the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different outcome. They ran it back. They got fucking lucky against the Lightning. I'm just going to say it. They won because of things that don't usually happen. They erased a 4-1 deficit. They came back in the last minute of another game, won in overtime. They only won one game the entire playoffs on home ice. That's not sustainable. That's not a winning model. So essentially, they didn't make it out of the first round. They miracled out of the first round. So I think in sports especially, recency bias is a good thing. What have you done for me lately? I don't care that Austin Matthews had 11 points in the first round. He didn't get a single goal in the second round. They got out of the first round and they were 1/4 of the way there. That ain't shit. When it comes to the ultimate goal of winning a title, what this team has said is going to win a title, when you have the talent to win a title and they continue to fall short, continue to have the same things happen to that roster. So I think in sports and in things of that nature, recency bias, wanting gratification in some way, instant or not, is not necessarily a bad thing. Because, yeah, it's true. You're only as good as your last at bat. Maroon, or someone of that nature had 30 goals once. He's not a 30-goal scorer just because he did it. Fucking Jonathan Cheechoo. That man was out of the league 3 seasons, I want to say, after he had a Maurice Richard trophy.
Yeah. I can confirm that through a site that I'm never going to name again. But yeah, Jonathan Cheechoo, for the hell of it, why not? Won himself the Rocket Richard in the 2005-2006 season. He played 1, 2, 3, 4 more seasons. You could argue 3.5, but yeah, by the 2010-2011 season, he was an AHLer. which is still a pretty fast drop-off. We will get to more of the Leaf stuff soon, and we will get to more of the playoffs very, very soon. What I was going to mention in terms of the general section was that there was history made in the WHL as the Portland Winterhawks selected goaltender, and it's a tremendous hockey name, Morgan Stickney, who became the first ever woman the first ever female American player drafted into the WHL. I think just in general, the first woman drafted into the WHL. Obviously, a couple years ago in the OHL, the Sarnia Sting picked up Taya Curry, who is still yet to play in the OHL. She is still an active player. And yeah, congrats to Morgan Stickney making history, and we'll see what the future will bring. Obviously, she's in high school. They have stats from her season 16 and under at Shattuck St. Mary's, and she posted a .928 save percentage in 33 games played with a 23-0-3 record. So,
damn, not bad.
Not bad.
Wait, 23-0-3?
Yeah. I mean, it's Shattuck St. Mary's, man. I mean, they're just one of the biggest powerhouses in terms of hockey in the country. So,
yeah. I mean, the 0-3 doesn't surprise me at all when you consider it's a Shattuck St. Mary. So
yeah. So to that, then let's get to the playoffs, because obviously we have thoughts. Certainly, after all but one series has come to a close, I do want to start off with the series that ended the most recently. That being Edmonton and Vegas, as the Vegas Golden Knights have won the series in 6. They took Game 5 at home, 4-3, with Eichel and Marchessault both posting 3-point nights. Aiden Hill stopped 32 of 35, while for the Oilers, they were led by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with a 3-point game. But Stuart Skinner stops just 18 of 22 and is pulled after 35 minutes of playtime. Jack Campbell steps in and stops all 9 shots that he faces. That brings us to Game 6 last night, and before we get in to Game 6, there was what can only be called the ESPN debacle. What a fucking night ESPN had last night. Jesus. For those who... I mean, I don't even know how to approach this, but for those who follow the baseball side of things, ESPN decided, of course, yesterday it was Mother's Day. A reporter for ESPN on Mother's Day asked Red Sox first baseman Tristan Casas about his mom, who passed away when he was 9.
Good Lord.
Quote,
Jesus.
I know your mom passed away when you were young, Carl Ravitch awkwardly said on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball broadcast while Casas was mic'd up. What does Mother's Day mean to you and your brother?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So
don't bring that shit up.
Middle of a game, top of the third. He's playing defense at first base. They asked him that during the game.
Oh my god.
I'm only laughing because
how these fuckers get jobs. It sounds like none of them do research.
Yeah.
Insane.
You think? Did we talk about the White Cloud situation?
No, yeah. Did we talk about that?
No.
A reporter for ESPN made a joke about Zach Whitecloud's name. He's of indigenous. He is a person of indigenous background, and they made fun of his last name.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh,
we didn't talk about that though. Yeah. I said something about it being a great name if you are selling toilet paper or something like that, or great name for a toilet paper. White Cloud.
I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, it did apologize, but.
So, along with ESPN having that great moment during Sunday Night Baseball, they were airing the Sunday Night Baseball game on ESPN, as they do, because they refused to flex the Edmonton Golden Knights game to an earlier start time. It was originally scheduled to be late in case there was a Game 6 for the Leafs and Panthers, LOL, and they refused to bump it up. And as a result, the baseball game for Sunday night went late, even though it was a blowout, and they essentially missed the first 3 minutes or so of Game 6, which also included 3 goals. because they, again, refused to flex the game either to ESPN proper or move Sunday Night Baseball to ESPN2. They also refused to trade broadcast nights for the game with TNT to help get the NHL an earlier start time.
Yikes.
Banner day for ESPN and in their attempts to win over hockey fans with this very recent deal. Not a good look at all, especially when so many people are already on board of TNT's blowing them out of the water with their presentation of the sport. So, yeah. Great night.
The only thing I don't like about TNT is like they have a lower camera angle watching the games. I don't. It's like slightly lower. Maybe it was just in a certain arena, but like when
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think it was the Leafs and Panthers series. Maybe even the one before
that. The Panthers at home have an awkwardly low camera angle.
But I even thought it was Leafs and Tampa. Like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it was just those games in Florida that I was noticing.
Yeah. Florida's camera is like, let's see, you're over here. Like the arena's like over here, and
it's lower than broadcast.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Yeah, it's a lot lower.
Broadcast.
I would say that's NHL 2K10's 3/4 camera if it was on the going through as well.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
it's a low camera.
It's a low camera. Yeah.
So Game 6, I already mentioned the early goals. One of them was Stuart Skinner playing the puck behind the net. It results in a turnover. Riley Smith scores to start it very early on in terms of scoring. This was the first time that Vegas scored first in the entire series. Jesus. And it's off of a goal like that. Skinner was pulled after 2 periods of play, stopping 13 of 17 shots.
Why the fuck was he even starting, dude? Like, I don't understand how they kept going back to him.
Sin, you're going robo on us here. Yeah, we'll give it a second, and we'll get your generalized thoughts on the goaltending, and we'll see if that sorts itself out. But yeah, you went a little bit robotic on us. Okay, it looks like it might be clear now. Go ahead.
Weird.
You're good. You're good now.
Okay.
You're good.
Weird.
I don't understand how Skinner started every single one of these fucking games.
Let me finish the stats here, because that was the big talking point. Campbell steps in for Game 6, stops 4 of 4 in the third period because the Golden Knights turtled up. In this series, and normally we talk about the stuff at the end, but we're getting to it now. In this series, Stuart Skinner with an .875 save percentage. Jack Campbell had a .957 in 67 minutes of ice time. And the question I left was, did Woodcroft get it wrong by not playing Jack Campbell?
Yes.
I know where I stand, and Sin, I think we know where you stand.
It's ridiculous that he didn't start. He should have started after that time when Skinner got yanked. They put in Campbell, and he played phenomenally. And I'm pretty sure they got the win because of it.
They did.
Yep.
Like, I don't get it. You want Skinner to be the goalie of the future that bad. You're tanking his fucking confidence by doing this. Like, you're not, I don't know. Like, you keep throwing him out there, and he continues to get lit up. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. It's such a horrible coaching decision. And I don't understand what it is with these Canadian fucking teams that just seem to have horrible management and horrible coaching consistently, constantly. This is such a horrible decision. How?
So in the regular season, which is what obviously a lot of people will point to, Stuart Skinner, 50 games to Jack Campbell's 36. Skinner with a .913 save percentage, goals saved above average at a 14.1. Campbell, an .888 save percentage, goals saved above average of a negative 16.7.
Yeah, and that's why Stuart Skinner gets to start in the playoffs.
Yes.
Fine. Then he sucks. You switch.
Yes.
Alex Lyon, I wouldn't even say sucked. He got pulled. Bobrovsky went in. Bobrovsky did okay. Comes back. Does okay again. And he continues to win the net. Regular season does not matter in the playoffs.
I agree.
It's 2 separate seasons. You go from playing a different team every night to the same team again and again and again. You don't think they have a scouting report on Skinner and how to fucking beat him? Clearly they do. And clearly he was not good enough also on top of that. And sure, maybe Campbell's numbers are inflated by garbage time. He's still a .957. Even if he posts a .910, that is .35 better than what Skinner did.
Yeah,
Horrible coaching.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I do not know how they did not turn to Jack Campbell. To your point about Alex Lyon, in the first round against the Bruins, he had a .902 save percentage in 3 games. Bobrovsky had an .891.
Yeah.
And they still stuck with Bobrovsky, and it worked.
It worked in that regard, but then, and then Bobrovsky turns into a monster in the second round.
I'm glad he did.
Guess why? Because sometimes goalies just have it. Sometimes players just have it when the chips are down and when a lot's on the line. Bobrovsky's got all that experience. Jack Campbell clearly has experience and clearly turns it up a notch in the playoffs when he's not. Surprisingly, Oilers defense ain't much better than the Leafs, so whatever.
Woodcraft got it wrong. I think is the only 100%. Thing
He's an assistant coach. I was so shocked that he got the head coaching nod. He's a fucking assistant coach. I've known this because, he worked with T-Mac, and I had a lot of experience.
Yeah, he has been the head coach for just over a year and 3 months. So, and he's been with the Oilers since, he's been with the Oilers. Assistant coach from 2015 to 2018, and then back with the Oilers as the head coach since 2022. So,
yep.
I don't know. He got this wrong. I'm not necessarily saying you got to get rid of him. Is he not the guy? He got this wrong. He did. Jack Campbell should have started Game 6, and I know some people could say, "Oh, it's easy to say with the power of hindsight," but no, Jack Campbell should have.
It was happening in the moment, and you saw it. His refusal to do so cost his team the series, probably.
On the other side, Jonathan Marchessault leading the way for the Knights in this game, had a natural hat trick in the second period.
Gross.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
In the game, Aiden Hill stops 38 of 40. Leading
good for Aiden Hill.
No, fuck Aiden Hill.
Hey, no, good
Do
for
that
Aiden
in San
Hill.
Jose, you bitch.
Do that in Toronto. Oh, wait, you got claimed.
That wasn't Aiden Hill, was it?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure it was Aiden Hill.
I don't think that was Aiden Hill.
Aiden Hill was never in Toronto.
No.
Who the fuck was it then? He had a 6 set of gear, never got to play a single game because he got claimed off waivers with what's it called?
You, sir, are thinking of the legend Hari Satari.
Nope. He got claimed by Arizona.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I'm right.
No,
I
you're not.
know I'm right because he had the Scarecrow design pads and he didn't play a single game. He went to, I think it was, he got to the regular season, was gonna go play a game, got claimed off waivers by the New Jersey Devils, and no one saw those pads ever again.
That was not Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill never played for the Devils. I don't know who the hell you. If you know who Endo's thinking of,
hold on a second.
Thank you for derailing the show. It wasn't Aiden Hill. I don't know what to tell you.
What the fuck was it?
I don't know. While you sit there, we're going to talk more about Aiden Hill really quickly.
Go ahead.
Obviously, a lot of people, anytime you lose a series, the words, "we got goalied," happen to be out there. Look, Aiden Hill ended the series with a .934 save percentage. We're going to talk a little bit about Vegas and their stats and kind of who led the way for them. But if you got goalied by Aiden Hill in the second round of the playoffs, cool, you didn't deserve to go any further. It's Aiden Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you. Not to say Aiden Hill isn't a capable goaltender, but Jesus.
It was Aaron Dell. It was Dell. Aaron,
close.
Not Aiden. Yeah. So close.
Oh, God. So in this series, the Vegas Golden Knights led in scoring by Jack Eichel with 9 points. I have seen the sentiment thrown out there. I agree with it. Turns out this Vegas-Buffalo deal for Eichel has worked out pretty well for both sides. Aside from that, Jonathan Marchessault 8 points. Trade deadline pickup Barbashev with 6 points. And Riley Smith with 5. There were only 3 players without a single point in the series for Vegas. That was Ben Hutton, who played 1 game, 2 games for Teddy Bluger, and Keegan Colasar played the entire series without a point. Every single other player on the team had at least 1 point in the series, which is tremendous depth. It'll be the 4th visit to the 3rd round in 6 years for the Vegas Golden Knights, which is absurd, really. 4 times in 6 years they have made it to the conference final. And with Vegas's win, head coach Bruce Cassidy becomes the 3rd Golden Knights head coach in their 6-year history to advance to the Western Conference Final in their first season coaching the team. You know, for Bruce Cassidy, this has worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
He gets let go. The Bruins bring in Jim Montgomery, have the best regular season of all time. Jake DeBrusk stays because he's happy now. Bruce Cassidy's gone, just like Endo. But Bruce Cassidy's gone, and everyone's kind of shitting on him, but he gets the last laugh. His Golden Knights off to the Final Four. We don't know who they're going to play yet. We'll talk about that in a minute, but congrats to Bruce Cassidy, who I really didn't mind as Bruins head coach. I did think it was right for him to go if there were certain players like DeBrusk who wanted out, because I viewed them as more valuable. But yeah, worked out very well for Vegas. They're off to the Final Four. But let's talk about Edmonton a little bit more. We already talked about Jay Woodcroft getting it wrong with the goaltending. The Oilers were led in scoring by Connor McDavid, who had 10 points. Draisaitl, Bouchard, Nuge, and Hyman all had 7, and then nobody else had more than 3. And there was only one player with 3 points, and it was Matthias Ekholm. Their depth failed again. Evander Kane, 1 point, 38 penalty minutes, and a -3 in 6 games.
This is what he does. This is what he does the second the series goes off the rails. He starts playing like shit and doing dumb shit.
Their deadline acquisition of Evander Kane.
Edmonton, you're about to find out what happens to him after a couple years of being good. And not just talking about on ice either. I'll be shocked if he continues to stay out of trouble. But something's coming.
Darnell Nurse. You guys recall how much Darnell Nurse gets paid?
$9.5 million or just $9 million?
9.25. So in the middle.
9.25. It's still bad.
Jesus Christ, it's such a horrible. He's a $4 to $5 million defenseman.
1 point, a -6 in the series. Now again, plus minus isn't often a great stat in a playoff series, especially in a shorter one that doesn't go 7. It can be very indicative of how good or bad somebody was. This was the first year of 8 on Darnell Nurse's contract, worth 9.25. He is on a full no movement clause for 4 more years. Actually has a no movement clause outright throughout the entire deal, so you can't send him down. But the final 3 years of his deal, he gets a 10-team no trade list, or actually a 10-team trade list that he could go to, as opposed to no trade. So
it was an awful contract the minute it was signed. I don't know why people think he's a number 1 defenseman. I don't get it.
This season, he set a career high in points with... Any guesses?
60.
35.
43.
Middle.
That's insane. He's not good at shut down.
9.25 for 43 points. And yes, a guy who is not a shutdown defender. He's a physical defender. But that's...
stupid ass.
Yep. That's quite the contract. And again, it's nothing against Darnell Nurse the person. All you can do is judge it as, on the play and the contract that's handed out. He is typically a good offensive defenseman, but yeah, to be paying 9.25 for someone who has average defense, I would say, is a little bit concerning. Now, obviously, with Darnell Nurse, the other talking point is the suspension for the instigator. There was a note out there during the regular season. There were 2 instigator penalties in the final 5 minutes of the third period. Neither resulted in a suspension, yet Darnell Nurse's did. So, Oilers fans, I mean, hey, you have the right to feel as hard-pressed by officiating if you want to. But again, as we know, we're going to talk about it in the Leafs matchup. It happens to fucking everybody.
Yep.
And in terms of plus-minus, was going to mention, too, Cody Ceci, a team worst -7.
Jeez.
In that series. So, rough time for a lot of players to turn back into a pumpkin. There was Leon Draisaitl and Alex Pietrangelo. Petro was trying to say something to Draisaitl. He gave him the fastest handshake, and Leon just moved on. So, clearly some.
I don't know why
hard-
people are giving him a hard time about this. By the way, he still shook his hand. He still maintained the sportsmanship.
I agree.
Fuck Petrangelo. He doesn't deserve to have the buddy moment in the nice on camera with Draisaitl. You're forgiven. No, you tried to end my fucking season, and in turn, you shouldn't have played the rest of the fucking series. It's insane that he was out the same amount of time as Nurse. But here's why: because the NHL, they got to even stuff up. This is not a fucking league. This is not a serious organization.
No, I agree. With the Oilers' elimination, Canada's Cup drought extends to 30 seasons.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, I was going to mention, too, for Draisaitl. He scored 6 goals in the first 2 games of this series. The final 4 games, he was held to just 1 point, and that was an assist.
Yeah.
So, very similar to the Leafs. The second the Stars stop producing, you're done. Oilers had the exact same structure with that depth that just could not produce for them in the series. And, of course, I'd argue the Oilers' depth worse on paper than
worse.
the Leafs.
Way worse.
I mean, you know, for the Leafs, it's like you talk about, like, oh, we brought in Yarncroke and Ryan
Got
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly on the third line. You know how insane that is to have O'Reilly on the third line? He could be a 1C.
Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, the Leafs having, you know, Michael Bunting obviously as an option. You get Matthew Nyes until the injury pops up. Nola Chari at the deadline as well. And then the Oilers are relying on Warren Fogle, Kyler Yamamoto, Derek Ryan, Ryan McLeod, Nick Bjugstad, Clem Costin, Matthias Janmark, who had no points in 4 games. It's a rough look. Yeah, same thing happened to them that happened to the Leafs. Your Stars can't produce at that super high level. You just don't have enough. Now, there was a Reddit comment that was out there that I want to read pretty much verbatim in regards to the Oilers. Edmonton's goals for this season, 325, which was the second best output of the post-lockout era. Florida had the best offense since that lockout in 2005 last year. Edmonton's goals at 5-on-5 in the regular season was 191. That was 5th best in the NHL. Very good, but when you realize they relied on the power play for 42% of their total offense, that should set off some alarms. The team they were facing, Vegas, was the least penalized team in the league by a wide margin, 25 less than the second-ranked team. In this series, Edmonton scored 19 goals. 9 of them were on the power play, so roughly 40% or so of their goals. I think 42. Vegas scored 22 goals. 18 of them were 5-on-5.
Jesus.
This is another high-powered offense that relied on the power play that once you get to the playoffs and you know the officiating rules are different, they could not score at 5-on-5, even like they did in the regular season, and they fucking collapsed. I mean, again, you could say Vegas benefited from the officiating. They did. They're not the only ones to do so, but yeah, Edmonton's big concern entering the playoffs was can they score 5-on-5, and it turns out long-term they could not.
Analytics-wise, they generate a hell of a lot 5-on-5, but you need to finish.
Yeah. So for the Oilers, you know, kind of their post-mortem here, they are set up relatively well. In terms of cap space, they were technically over, I believe, a little bit, or it was very, very close. UFAs, Derek Ryan, Janmark, Devin Shore, Nick Bjugstad. RFAs, Ryan McLeod, Clem Costin, and Evan Bouchard. And that's the big one for them, is needing to work out a deal to get Evan Bouchard onto a bridge deal, because they could not.
You know, because you gave a really safe and small contract to Cody Ceci.
Yeah, so with these contracts, Oilers goaltending will cost them $7.6 million against the cap next year between Campbell and Skinner. They are paying, of course, Darnell Nurse the $9.25, Ekholm $6 million, CC $3.25, Kulak $2.75 are the big four on defense. Offensively, McDavid 12.5, which, by the way, 3 years left for
Insanely
McDavid.
Underpaid. Like, it's nuts.
2 years left of Leon Draisaitl at $8.5 million.
Even more insanely underpaid.
Best contract in the NHL.
Yep.
5.5 for Hyman.
Holy shit.
Well, that's what I was going to mention here in a sec, too.
Yeah.
5.5 for Hyman. 5.125 for Nuge. Same contract for Vanderkam, 5.1. 3.1 for Kyler Yamamoto. Bye. They got to get rid of that. They have to.
Hold on.
And Warren Fogle at 2.75.
Also, bye.
Hyman's only getting 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hyman's getting paid 5.5 for 5 more years.
The Leafs let him walk?
Yep. Then they should not.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
it was a horrible
in
fucking decision.
retrospect, like now, just like Michael Bunting is great, but he's an idiot when it comes to his temper. That may have been a factor, the reason why he didn't get played in the fucking end until way down the line. But just when you really look at that now in retrospect, after like the few years of him being in Edmonton, the Leafs really fumbled the bag there.
Yep.
I mean, sure, they were able to get Bunting for basically a steal and as a replacement, but you've now have to pay Bunting. Yeah.
Well, guess what? Bunting's gone now.
Yeah, probably.
pretty much.
Imagine if you kept Zach Hyman, if you could have gotten him on a contract like that, but moved out Alex Kerfoot, moved out Justin Hall, and then you would have had the likes of Hyman and Bunting in the top to middle six. But they didn't do it. We'll talk about the Leafs in a minute. So for the Oilers, Ken Holland has been the GM of this team now and president of hockey ops for 4 years. Did he make some good moves at the deadline? Ekholm? Sure. You have 2 years to do this thing. 2. Because Leon Draisaitl at 8.5, he gets paid no less than $13 million on his next contract. Presuming that the cap still goes up. If we're talking about Matthews looking for $13 million, Leon Draisaitl's looking for $13 million. And anything
At
less than that would be
least.
team friendly.
Yeah.
You have 2 years to get this done before you potentially lose Leon Draisaitl. Because if you are already having trouble, and it's astonishing that they are having trouble, similar to the Leafs, of finding the proper insulation around their stars to make things happen. But if you are having trouble already as the Oilers finding the proper insulation around McDavid and Draisaitl to get the fucking job done, what are you going to do when Draisaitl costs $5 more million against the cap than he already does?
McDavid and Draisaitl are paid less than Matthews and Marner.
Yes.
And that combination is minimum twice as good as Matthews and Marner.
Yep.
I mean, hey.
Insane. How?
They have to win. They have to.
Yeah.
And again, the Bruins are in somewhat of a similar spot, too, in a sense of David Pastrnak got that big money deal. It's going to be that much more difficult for the Bruins now to battle back and find that proper insulation. A lot of these teams keep finding themselves now in similar spots. The Oilers have a 2-year window at this point. And if Draisaitl goes, I don't see how McDavid stays after the following year, because McDavid has 1 extra year on his deal. Again, Draisaitl with 2 years left now that this season we'll consider over for them. McDavid has 3. Clock's ticking. Clock is ticking. And if I'm an Oilers fan, I am in near panic mode at this stage because, again, they fail to get past the second round in a series that they could have won. Again, you get a really team-friendly deal from Nuge. Like, I'm sorry, but Kane, Yamamoto, Fogle, CC, like, you got some contracts that you really need to shed because it's not it. And this series is proof. Like, this team and the way it's built currently is not it. Now, we don't know who Vegas is going to be playing in round 2 because the other Western Conference semifinal matchup is going to Game 7 between Seattle and Dallas. Dallas won Game 5, 5-2, 3-point night for Robertson and Hintz. Ottinger stopped 29 of 31. Grubauer stopping just 16 of 20. Brutal night for Grubauer in Game 5. But in Game 6 at home, the Kraken fought back. They won 6-3 to force this Game 7. Eberle and Tolvanen with 3-point nights. Grubauer stopping 20 of 23. And Ottinger, again, the Jekyll and Hyde nature for him this postseason continues. He played just 24 minutes, stopping 14 of 18. Wedgwood played the rest, stopping 9 of 10. Game 7 is tonight. Both Grubauer and Ottinger in this series have 865 save percentages.
It's such a weird series, this one. It doesn't make sense. I honestly expected it to be a defensive battle. You think of Dallas and the Kraken?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it should have been a defensive battle. To be fair, Dallas should have fucking walked all over him. But Grubauer decided, I'm going to be good. Ottinger decided, I'm not. I mean, obviously he hasn't been good, but Grubauer at times in these playoffs has been quite good for Seattle.
Both of them have had their moments. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying,
Yeah. Ottinger,
weird.
In this postseason, has a 900 save percentage in 12 appearances. That is not what anybody expected from him. And who knows the reason behind it? Could be an injury, could be the pressure of everyone expecting him to be a playoff god, the team in front of him, all of the above. But regardless,
Pete DeBoer.
Yeah.
Because bad goalies follow that fucker around.
Game 7 tonight feels like it's going to come down to whatever goalie shows up. And obviously, you'd be more inclined to think it's going to be Ottinger, but we don't know.
Grubauer has had moments in the playoffs. Think back when he was on Colorado. Whoo, he looked good in the playoffs at times. Like, real good.
So it's going to come down to the goaltending. It's going to come down to the stars, not the Dallas team themselves, but each team's individual stars, which does include stars forward Joe Pavelski, who tonight could step into the league lead for most playoff goals by an active player. He has 72, tied himself with Alex Ovechkin for the most. And of course, at 38 years old, he is now the oldest player in NHL history to score 7 goals in the playoff series.
I'm so glad we kept Evander Kane over him. Best fucking decision ever.
It's tough. So
Game
old, 7 tonight. Endo, who are you rooting for? Who do you think will win?
I want Seattle to win. I think Seattle will win. I like Dallas and how they're playing. I want Max Doman to go to the Eastern Conference Final, but at the same time, Western Conference Final. Sorry, I get my W's and my E's mixed up. Might be dyslexic. Who knows? Yeah, I definitely want Seattle to go through because it's been a great series in general, and to have an expansion team matchup in the playoffs, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Sin, who do you think will win? Who do you want to win?
I want Joe Pavelski to win. So tough. I think Dallas is going to win. Joe is going to show the fuck up.
I don't have a preference because I like both teams. That said, Seattle versus Vegas, and Seattle beats Vegas to go to the Stanley Cup
That sounds
final.
like a preference, though. I don't care. One of these teams has to be Vegas. I think it'd be fucking storybook for Joe Pavelski to do it.
Dallas should win this.
They should.
I think they will, which makes me want to kind of root for Seattle that little bit more. Dallas should win this. That's my take on this. They really, really should. But the fact that it's gone 7 and you can't say for sure is a little bit scary, especially if you think like, okay, round 3, you're up against Vegas, and that's a little bit less of a should win. But then again, different matchups, different styles, so who knows? But I'm intrigued. I'll certainly be watching. We'll move to the East. The Carolina Hurricanes eliminate the Devils in 5 games, winning Game 5, 3-2 in overtime. Jesper Fast, the overtime hero. Freddie Anderson stopped 27 of 29 for the Devils. Decent shot. Timo Meier, 2 points, was involved in both Devils goals. Akira Schmidt stopped 36 of 39. For the Hurricanes, they now move into a tie for 3rd most conference finals appearances since joining the league in 97-98. Brindamore has been a part of all 5 of their trips to the conference finals as either head coach or player. I mean, Jesus, you think of like a player that's so like intrinsically tied to a franchise.
Yeah.
It's Rod Brindamore in Carolina. It's insane. And they have some good news. Teuvo Teravainen is expected back from the conference final after, I believe it was a hand injury, took him out in round number 1. So, again, we'll talk about our preview or our thoughts on that conference semifinal, but they always manage to keep going. Case in point, in this series against the Devils, the Canes were led in scoring by Jordan Martinook. Jordan Martinook.
He cooked, dude.
3 goals, 7 assists in 5 games.
That's Devils didn't have the depth. That's what that means to me.
That's the Carolina Hurricanes fucking run on voodoo magic. That's what that means to me. Like, Jesus Christ. It is literally I've said it before. It is the they can't keep getting away with it meme. I don't know how they do this. Second in points, it was a tie with 6. Jesper Fast and Jordan Staal with 6 points each, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi with 5. Those were the top 4 scorers for Carolina in that series. Infuriating. Freddie Anderson, 4-0 record with a .918 save percentage as well. Fucking Hurricanes, man. They just keep going. It's ridiculous. For the Devils in this series, they were led in scoring by Jack Hughes, who really did take such a step up this year. He had 6 points. Meyer, Mercer, and McLeod each had 4 points. So Meyer certainly kind of grew into what he was expected to be as the playoffs went along. But then you get into some trouble for the Devils. Palat, Heischer, just 2 points each, which is rough. And then we talked about plus minus. Again, I know in a general sense it's not the best stat, but in playoffs, short term, it can speak to how effective someone's been in a series, especially when it's to an extreme. Dougie Hamilton, -10 in 5 games. Palat, -8. Tatar, Halla, -7s. I mean, especially for Hamilton and Palat, those are 2 key players who were just getting shelled every time they were out there.
Yep.
And shout out to Eric Halla, who's now been eliminated by the Hurricanes in 3 consecutive seasons with, I believe, 3 different teams. So, shout out to Eric Halla. In goal, 4 appearances for Vitek Vanacek, an .824 save percentage.
Yikes.
4 appearances for Akira Schmidt. Again, the series went 5. An .874 save percentage for Schmidt. It's not all doom and gloom for the Devils. They went all 94 games played, regular postseason combined, without being shut out once. And they have also extended their league-leading streak of never being swept in a playoff series to 46 straight series, which is outrageous. Moving forward, it's an interesting offseason ahead for them. UFAs, Tatar, he's gone. Miles Wood, who knows? Halla, probably.
Get rid of Miles Wood because he's awful.
There you go. I mean, they might keep him, but not for $3.2 million.
Oh my God, that's what he's making?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he signed. That was a 1-year deal this year, $3.2 million for Miles Wood.
What did he get that for?
I don't know. He put up 27 points in 76 games after playing just 3 games due to injury last year.
Tatar?
Miles Wood.
No, Miles Wood.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It was Tatar. I'd say that's because meme tax, with Montreal just memeing Tata out of nowhere. But Miles Wood, yeah, got no idea how he got that money.
Yeah, for Tatar, he had 48 points in a full season and then 1 point in 12 games in the playoffs. He is the least clutch playoff performer in the NHL today. It's insane. UFAs defensively, Severson and Ryan Graves.
Uh-oh.
Both probably looking for a raise. Severson at 4.1, Graves at 3.1. I'm intrigued to see how they handle that. And then RFAs, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meyer, Yegor Sharangovich, Michael McLeod, Jesper Boqvist, Nathan Bastian, Kevin Ball, Mackenzie Blackwood.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If they trade Timo Meyer his rights, for whatever reason, if they make the conference finals next season, do we still get that other first?
Because
I thought it was. I remember this season it was if he made the conference finals and he played 50% of the games, we would get the third. But then next year is a completely different thing. It's a completely
so the
different...
conditions on the pick, which is a 2024 second rounder from New Jersey. If New Jersey makes the 2023 conference finals and Meyer plays in 50% of the games, which did not happen, or if New Jersey makes the 2024 conference final, the pick becomes a first.
So if they just make it next season, even without Meyer, we get the pick.
Yes. That's as it reads to me. Yeah. So you're still a Devils fan for next season, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know I am. I'm just thinking, what if they trade Meyer? Like, what if they don't value him as much as some of these other fuckers, like their defense? Though they did have that one good young defenseman playing. What the hell was his name? Ball? B-A-H-L?
Yeah, Kevin Ball. He's an RFA. Yeah. They have Luke Hughes now, Siegenthaler, who... So Jonas Siegenthaler is probably the most underrated defenseman in the league. He got paid $1.1 million this year, and he has a new deal that only goes up to $3.4. That's a tremendous deal for a...
You're only going to keep one of Graves or Severson. Tough to say. I think Graves is maybe better in the playoffs because he's more physical, and that seems to be a big thing, but Severson's probably the better defenseman.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see. And, of course, we mentioned Dougie Hamilton's struggles in that series. He's making $9 million for 5 more years. So I like Dougie Hamilton, but he had a bad series.
Yeah.
So, we shall see. The Devils will have a lot of cap space to play with, though. So
that is true.
We'll see what happens. This is that crucial point in time where it's like, okay, like you have... Do you guys know what Jack Hughes gets paid?
Didn't he just get an extension?
Like that.
He did. This was the first year of a brand new contract.
I'm going to say 8.5. I don't think it was that high.
$8 million flat. 7
Unreal.
New Jersey. That's
how you do
crucial time for you. You have to sign the right contracts. If you start signing the wrong deals and betting on the wrong players, before you know it, it's going to be, oh shit, Jack only has like 3 years left and we haven't broken through, and you find yourselves in Toronto, in Edmonton's situation. This is that crucial time for Tom Fitzgerald as GM and for the Devils as a whole. They have to get these next few off seasons right. They have to get it right. And honestly, I hope they do. The league's pretty fun when New Jersey's a good team. So
yes,
we'll see what happens.
Especially when they expose the Rangers as frauds.
So we'll see what happens there. And of course, that brings us to the other Eastern Conference semifinal where the Florida Panthers eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs in 5 games, winning game 5, 3-2 in overtime. Nick Cousins, of course, the hero. Bobrovsky stopping 50 of 52 shots. Joseph Woll, great effort, 40 of 43. Now, obviously, you cannot talk about Game 5 without talking about officiating and some of the more controversial moments, including Mark Stahl catching Mitch Marner up high about 17 feet away from the puck with 8 seconds left, and no penalty called on that play because there's 8 seconds left in regulation, and you're never going to call a penalty with 8 seconds left in regulation. Someone could go full American and break out a fucking AR-15, and you still wouldn't call a goddamn penalty because it's the NHL. There was the... You're going to tell me I'm wrong? I'm American. I can make that fucking joke. Is it even a joke? I don't know if it is.
Just a warning shot in the air. The ref's just like, no call. Keep going.
Didn't intentionally aim for his opposition. No penalty. The biggest moment of this game, maybe, I don't know, the Morgan Riley no goal. The disaster here was in the complete and utter failure of communication for what happened. Because for about half an hour, I don't think anybody, at least on the American side, watching the American broadcast, knew for sure what happened. Morgan Riley scores. We don't know for sure if it crosses the line. There is a referee that's in the corner that people think blew the whistle or intended to, who then skates to the back of the net and then blows the whistle like 5 to 10 seconds after the play stopped.
Right.
The big controversy was, whoa, when did the whistle go? And when did Bobrovsky start to move? And when did the puck go? Did the puck go over the line before he held it under the pad? And then the bottom line was, about half an hour and we're talking right before the third period is about to start. TNT finally gives us the fucking camera angle of the referee at the blue line blowing the whistle. I don't know who the fuck's failure this is, the ref, the NHL's, whoever. That is inexcusable. For at least half an hour, nobody on the American side watching the American broadcast, at least, knew for sure. It's like, well, I guess the ref in the corner blew the whistle? There was no angle. It should not
visually looked like the guy behind the net blew it once he got behind the net and then blew it again, but I guess that wasn't the case. But here's my issue with it. It's completely irresponsible for them to show the puck going in when Bobrovsky stands up.
That was some bullshit.
That's irresponsible because no one knows. All the crowd sees on the Jumbotron is that puck going in, and they get pissed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get pissed because they're like, look, the puck is clearly in. Yes, it is. The play's well over. Goalie's not going to get up in that situation if the puck is somewhere in his equipment. He's simply not until he knows that play is dead.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is I don't know why no broadcast does this. You have, 50 cameras watching an NHL game at the exact same time, all synchronized together. I don't know why they don't have, when they go to an instant replay, they don't have multiple camera angles on the exact same time on the same screen synced together, showing different angles of everything happening, so that we can get a better perspective of what's happening or when whistles are being drawn or whistles are being going through. Because you see the guy at the blue line whistle, or apparently he goes to whistle. You can see when the other guy at the actual behind the net or beside the net can whistle, and then you can see from where it is on a different camera angle where the puck could be or couldn't be. I don't know why no broadcast is using multiple angles. The only time I've seen a broadcast do that is baseball. And even then, that's rare. That's basic stuff that should be done on any broadcast, because I want to say it's not that hard. I want to say it's not that hard because I've worked in stuff like that when I was in college and doing broadcasts for TV and stuff like that. It's not that hard. You throw an overlay up, you put 3 things on there, and bam. You can do that in fucking OBS.
This goes back to Tougie and Mai's theory. They like the online engagement.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's 100% what I was going to bring up again. The lack of investment in replay camera angles, the lack of investment in goal line technology, having the chip in the puck to know if it fully crossed the fucking line. I swear to God, they do it intentionally because they know how low on the fucking totem pole they are in the US, that they view any attention is good attention. And what's more likely to get them more attention? Hockey fans going, hey, this was awesome. Or hockey fans freaking the fuck out and getting stuff trending on Twitter.
It's crazy that the biggest press the NHL's gotten in terms of media stuff was the Michigan. That was perfect. Everyone was talking about that.
Wasn't it the alley-oop, though, to Milano?
Yeah, or the alley-oop, as everyone calls it. Yeah, the dishigan, whatever you want to call it. Anytime there's a Michigan or an alley-oop like that, people talk about it and go crazy about it. And I get all press is good press and all that stuff, but at the same time, the reputation of the NHL this past week has just gone down so much in terms of, partnering up with ESPN and them completely fumbling Game 6 and just stuff happening across the board with the NHL. And I don't know what's gonna give. I don't know if Bettman is gonna have to leave for the league to get better, or he's gonna somehow miraculously turn it around. He just
got an extension, so
yeah,
for another quarter century or some shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's a root issue that judging and thinking this is everyone in the world. It's why news sucks. It's why everything sucks. All people care about are numbers. That's all the people care about. This is why that Sports Gamer, etc., gets passed over for certain things, because before we weren't trying to inflate those numbers by doing a bunch of stuff that you can do to inflate it. Not botting or anything like that, but just people only care about numbers. They don't care if it's organic or or good. They don't care if those are returning people. They don't care about if it's actually contributing to growth. They only care about what are the numbers, and that's what NHL seems to be doing. Hey, look, we're fucking trending. They don't care that it makes their league look absolutely bush. We're fucking trending. Yay for us. And it's stupid because it's all the negative things. It's like, yeah, your league sucks. You don't have all these replays. Yeah, your league sucks. You suspended a guy for willingly fighting someone, and a guy who tried to end someone's season, potentially career. And I'm suspended in the same amount.
Yeah, big number go up. That's all it is. That's all they care about.
They are the worst league.
If you can call them a league, yeah.
In terms of marketing themselves, they are absolutely horrific. And it's astonishing that they necessarily haven't learned anything.
It's not really, because people are just going to make the safe call. They want to keep their jobs. They don't want to grow. They don't want to take risks. They're just going to do the same fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes from the not holding the refs accountable, the Department of Player Safety accountable, the inconsistency of the officiating, the lack of goal line technology, the lack of replay camera angles, the lack of communication, just the lack of knowing how to market your fucking stars to the point where Snoop Dogg has to call you out and be like, why the fuck don't you guys know how to market your goddamn stars? Julian McKenzie of, I know he's on SDPN and some other stuff, had a tweet that caught on where it's just like, man, yeah, the NHL absolutely fucking sucks at any sort of marketing whatsoever. The continued status quo of players essentially being encouraged to not have personalities and blah, blah, it's all a fucking joke, really.
Yeah, but they hired that one TikTok guy who does nothing with the NHL anymore whatsoever. So that's fun.
That guy like made one video and bounced.
Yep.
Good for him securing the bag, eh?
Yeah, good for him.
He's like a millionaire or some shit like that. He has like an investment group, whatever the fuck. Yeah, good for him making that money and leaving, but like, Jesus Christ.
So the right call was made in the Morgan Riley goal not counting, but the communication surrounding it is, again, a complete and utter failure. Leafs fans throw a bunch of shit on the ice. I'm genuinely shocked they did not give the Leafs a delay of game penalty for the fans throwing stuff on the ice.
Are you, though?
Yeah.
Are you
really?
Yeah,
because if there was a full-blown riot, imagine... Dude, okay, how many hockey documentaries have been made in the past, like, 10 years or so? Not too many. You know, you can think of a couple, right? And they're all the older ones. There was the one about the Soviet hockey team, the name's escaping. I think it was Red Army, or there was the Russian Five, there was Red Army, which were the same things, or at least covering the same subject. There was Ice Guardians, that was about enforcers, and a couple others here and there. For the most part, it's talking about the past, it's talking about fighting, or the new one, which is going to be about fucking Canucks fans rioting. This is what the NHL loves. You know, hockey in the past, we helped break down the barriers of the Cold War by helping smuggle players over. Oh, and we fought a lot. People like hearing about fighting, and also people love hearing about fans going fucking crazy. It's great. Like, it's just, again, it all comes down to the shit fucking marketing.
Yeah, I wonder why the NHL didn't talk about black ice. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so that came out last year.
Yeah, Black Ice was the documentary about black hockey players in the NHL and the history of black hockey players in hockey in general.
I didn't even know that this was a thing.
Yeah. Hockey Diversity Alliance was behind it. That's the reason why the NHL didn't want to talk about
That's the reason. There
Yeah,
you go.
Fuck
exactly
the
why.
NHL, dude. Fuck the NHL. Why were they not pushing that? Why were they not promoting
Because
that?
hockey's for everyone. Right?
Well,
That's
only
why.
if you say
Hockey's
it.
for
But
everyone.
when it really starts to become for everyone, you got all the old fucks have an issue.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, no matter how good Luke Prokop is, he's not going to touch NHL ice. And I hate to say that, but
I hope he does, but, you know.
I want him to. I hope he does.
Yeah.
But you got Rasmus fucking Ristolainen, or was it even him? I don't know. No, it wasn't Rasmus Ristolainen. Who the fuck? Provorov. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're both shit.
Oof.
For different ways. Different reasons.
Yeah, Provorov, like, you're going to say, do I want this guy in my locker room because it's going to upset this guy? Oh. You're going to have all those issues, and that's going to be one of the reasons he doesn't see NHL ice. But, man, they'll let sexual predators in there all day, as long as you're not touching dudes.
Man, has it
That's
become
gay, kids? fuckers.
Has it become difficult to support this league over the past couple of years? Like, Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
I watched maybe 15 full games this regular season of the
Yeah.
Sharks. I don't even think that much. I want to say 10 maybe. I've watched a lot more playoffs because it's good, but I like playoff hockey. So, but dude, it's so hard to support this fucking league.
Yeah, so that documentary, which I believe is out. I think it came out last year, Black Ice. It was based off of a book by Daryl Fosty. Daryl and George Fosty, actually, which covered the history of the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes from 1895 to 1925, and then was adapted into more of a documentary. By the way, executive producers, to show you how bad hockey is at marketing anything, included Drake and LeBron James, who were executive producers on this title, yet you still have never heard of it before as someone who is a diehard hockey fan.
Yep.
Why didn't the NHL be like, we got Drake and LeBron pushing a fit? It's
the best.
Wow.
It's the best.
Yeah.
God, it's the best. It is. Yeah, that documentary is out, by the way. There was an article from Complex Canada in February. It's probably easy. Yeah, it aired on TSN back in February.
Yeah, the whole red carpet and everything.
Yeah,
a bunch of current and former NHL players were there. Drake and LeBron James were both there as well too for the screening of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's still on Crave in Canada, which is essentially your version of HBO. So easier to find on the Canadian side of things. Probably is available elsewhere for those in the US. But yeah, we could just go on and on about it, right? It's just so incredibly frustrating. But yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Actually, it is out on Crave. So hey, if you're Canadian, watch it. If you're not, VPNs are a thing. So
you are a pirate.
I might be taking advantage of that because I want to watch this.
There you go.
Yeah, goddamn. So, like I said, kind of surprised that there wasn't a penalty to invoke a full-blown riot from Leafs fans in terms of not, giving them a penalty for that. And then there was the incident, Endo, at the end of the game on the winning goal as Radko Gudas grabs Calle Yarncroke's stick, preventing him from making the play as Cousins scores the winning goal.
Not only that, then after the goal is in, Radko Gudas, in the most douchebaggy way ever, screams in Joseph Wall's face.
Yeah, that is an all-time picture from the NHL.
Yeah.
Sin, we were just discussing the end of the game, the Radko Gudas holding of the stick, and then the screaming in Joseph Wall's face.
Like,
you know what? To be fair, that net drive was fucking legendary. I'm just gonna say that I was so fucking impressed by that net drive. The first time I saw it, I didn't catch the stick hold. Obviously, that's exactly what you want to do as a defenseman. Perfect time to pinch, recognize the situation, and just drive hard to the net. He backed off 2 Leafs defenders with that. Oh, that gave me a fucking stiffy as someone who plays like Eagle defense and someone who loves defensemen. Like that play, I don't care what people think of Radko Gudas. I know, especially with the stick hold, you're gonna hate me a little bit, but that is such a good play. Such a fucking good play. Gets my defensive juices
in the
going.
moment. You can't blame the officials for missing that with how fast the game is, but that is also why you have people calling for, and rightfully so, for the NHL to take the NFL's standard of all scoring plays are reviewed. Yep. And if that was in action, you would have reviewed it. Well, or would they have? You would review it and see that that's an infraction, but would they have the balls to say, actually, you know what, Florida, the game's not over? Because we've seen that in the past. Brett Hull, foot in the crease. They're like, but the confetti already fell. That would take a while to clean up the mess. Let's just let it go. So would they actually? I think they still probably just would have fucking let it go because they're so goddamn incompetent.
Yeah, it's the NHL. They're going to let that go.
So
They care more about the story than the game, dude.
Yeah. So there's the Matthew Tkachuk quote that I'm going to hold off on because I think it's more relevant to the preview of the conference final. In this series, the Florida Panthers were led in scoring by Aaron Ekblad and Matthew Tkachuk, each of whom had 5 points. Tkachuk had 0 goals. But the only...
Still noticed him every shift.
Well, see, that's where the difference is. The only Panthers without points were Colin White, both Stahl brothers, fuck them, Lou Osterainen, and Dalby. Bobrovsky allowed just 10 goals on 174 shots, a .943 save percentage in the series. So quickly, because we will obviously talk about the Leafs' perspective from scoring. Nobody gives a shit if you didn't show up in terms of scoring goals, as long as you fucking win. So Matthew Tkachuk, yeah, he's off the hook. He's got nothing to worry about. Bobrovsky. There will obviously be the calls of, well, we got goalied. What can you do? I also agree with the take out there.
Locations.
Yeah, I agree with the take out there of like, hey, goalies exist.
Yeah.
Score more goals.
I think Steve Dangle said it best. Teams have goalies.
Yeah. Did Bobrovsky have a great series? Sure.
Should you be getting goalied by Sergei Bobrovsky? Probably not. He has won 2 Vezinas. Sure. Like, he's a good goalie. He just showed it. He's still got to score.
Yeah. So that's...
Man. We beat Marc-Andre Fleury. That fucker was posting insane numbers against us, dude.
Well, that's kind of the point. So if I asked you in March, the Leafs are going to play the Panthers, Sergei Bobrovsky is the starting goalie. Leafs fans would be like, fucking sweet. Okay.
Yep.
We were saying fucking sweet, and the fucking playoffs happened too. We said we won in Florida, and then we got our ass kicked. We want golf clubs now. Like, Jesus Christ.
You can't now change that narrative like, oh, but we got goalied by Bobrovsky. It's like, well, no, just...
You asked for this.
You lost a series that you shouldn't have lost, essentially. For the Leafs, because we'll be able to talk about the Panthers, obviously, a little bit more here in a second. The Leafs were led in scoring in this series by Morgan Rielly with 4 points. Could have been more, apparently. William Nylander and Mitch Marner each had 3 points. The goal leaders, Nylander, 2. Rielly, Marner, Bunting, O'Reilly, Lafferty, Gustafsson, Kerfoot, Nyes each had 1. There is obviously somebody missing from this perspective, from this recap.
It's tougher to score when you can't do the curl drag shot off the rush anymore.
Yeah. Austin Matthews had 0 goals, 2 assists in 5 games.
Brutal.
Austin Matthews
Fraud.
has a no movement clause that kicks in on July 1st as he enters the last year of his contract. My money, Austin Matthews should not be a Leaf after this draft. How do you keep him? Now, in his history, his playoff history, he does have 44 points in 50 career playoff games with 22 goals, which is great. Are you going to be willing to pay Austin Matthews $13 million or more? We talked about it with the Oilers. You're already struggling to get the proper depth and insulation around McDavid and Draisaitl. It's going to be even more fucking difficult 2 years from now when Drai's deal is up. How the fuck, when you've struggled this much to find that proper insulation, are you going to pay Austin Matthews a $1.5 million like minimum raise, right? Like, he's at 11.6. There's no fucking way he's stopping at 12 or 12.5 as a 60 goal scorer. There's just no way. Like, there's no precedent that would make you believe that, or that all of a sudden he's had a change of heart and now he's going to take a discount down to 10 million.
If he was coming from somewhere else and going to Toronto, you would have the opportunity. Just because of how many endorsement opportunities there are in Toronto, but he's already there. He's going to get that shit regardless. Mm-hmm. So he's getting his money and all the endorsements. Like, yeah, he's
the Arizona Coyotes.
I would trade him, but there's no way they do. I'm sorry, I don't think they do. If they do, hats fucking off, because that's a tough decision, hard to explain to anyone, and that shows me that management group's serious. But I don't think they do.
The Arizona Coyotes have an open checkbook. Chicago will have an open checkbook.
Ugh.
There are teams that will give him a blank check and say, what is your number? Come free agency. Toronto's in a very unfortunate spot.
Because they walked him up to UFA. Still so stupid how they did that.
You dropped the ball with the prior negotiations, but you had faith in them. And now you're kind of screwed essentially for this round of negotiations where, again, you've already had that difficulty. And the problem is, it's not just Matthews' deal, who was up. It's William Nylander's at the end of next season, who's making just a hair under $7 million a season. Who will be getting at least 9, you would think, open market? At least?
Probably. Yeah. Oh, open market. Yeah.
Right. So what do? Do you give Matthews the $1.5, $2 million, if not more, raise per season, let Nylander go and have the $7 million of Nylander be the money that's allocated to try and help build up the depth, which really essentially comes out to like about $4 to $5 million extra, given that, you know, Matthews will have that chunk of change. Of course, John Tavares, 2 more years after this at $11 million per.
He's unmovable.
He is unmovable, 100%. He also does have a full no movement clause, so he would have to agree to be moved. Mitch Marner has 2 years left at $10.9 million. He has a no movement clause that kicks in on July 1st.
Marner's probably the one who's getting traded. Well, here's the thing. You cannot get fair value for Nylander back.
You can't get fair value for any of them back. That idea of, well,
Very
we'll only
true.
trade them if we're going to get fair value back. You're not going to, because you have no negotiating leverage in this situation. Teams know that you're fucked and need to get rid of the guy before he walks for nothing.
Reminds me of a few years ago with the Leafs. I can't remember what it was, a situation in terms of the cap, and the league knew, like, every GM knows, like, they're not going to help you out for no reason. And I think it was last year with Sateri, and we needed a goalie, so it's like, okay, Sateri just had an amazing Olympic. It was the Olympics. Yeah, Sateri did amazing. We're gonna grab him. We're gonna draft him. Now we're gonna pay him money. We're gonna have him come over here. And Arizona said, "Yeah, no thanks, see you. He's ours." Biggest middle finger that we could have had. Yeah, biggest middle finger. Like, you're not gonna get anything for free. You're gonna have to give up more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when people are saying, oh, there was a hypothetical that I've seen, like a legit hypothetical, it's like, oh, trade for Bedard or Michkov or whatever. And it's like, that's a great idea, but it's not going to be worth it.
But it would, yeah, like you have to start with Matthews plus Marner to trade for that first overall pick. That's the start. I don't care what anyone says. Like,
yeah,
Bedard's
if I'm
better
Chicago,
than anyone on
I am
that
not
team.
trading. Sorry to cut you off. If I'm Chicago, I'm not trading that number 1 overall pick for Austin Matthews.
Yeah,
It'd be more
that's
than
a
that.
horrible deal.
Yeah. I don't even think it's in the realm of conversation. Like, we already know Connor Bedard's going to be in Chicago. That's fine. So if you're the Leafs, do you try to trade Austin Matthews? Do you try to trade Mitch Marner? Do you keep one, sign them to the big money, and then say, well, our window opens up again fully in a year or two when JT's deal is up? That's $11 million off the books. Nylander's probably sacrificed at that point. UFAs this year. Kerfoot at 3.5. Bye. Ryan O'Reilly, probably gone.
I'd be shocked if they're able to keep him. I wouldn't want to stay if I was him.
David Kampf, Nola Chari, Michael Bunting, who was making $950 this season. He's going to be up to about at least $4 million minimum. Wayne Simmons, Zach Aston Reese, Justin Hall, goodbye. Luke Shen, Eric Gustafson. Why the fuck did you even go out and get Eric Gustafson? He played 1 game in the second round and scored
he looked
a goal.
Really good. I don't know why they didn't go back to him.
So that brings me to, because we could talk about goaltending as well. It's Matt Murray, 1 year left at 4.6 almost 4.7. He's either going to be traded or LTIR'd. Like you cannot have that count. So it's Samsonov as an RFA, and then Joseph Wall, which who the fuck knows on that front. Wall had a 921, Samsonov with an 892 in the series, by the way. And of course, every Leafs player was interviewed today. Oh, I want to come back. I believe that's just standard fluff. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody says that every single year, and we know that's not going to happen. The fuck was Sheldon Keefe doing in this series?
Being outcoached again.
I think he's given up. I think, honestly, he's given up on this team.
He's done.
Yeah. I think they've given up on him, too.
That's the first move. Like, say what you want about, okay, is Shanahan gone? Is Dubas gone? Sheldon Keefe is 100% gone. Pack your locker, buddy. You're done. You've been here for almost 3.5 years. You're done. He has to be. There's just no way that you can, like, he is the easiest person to get rid of. There was already the conversations early on in the year, but clearly, like, if you're gonna run it back with this same group, you need a different voice there. You absolutely need it. This idea
if that's the only thing they change again, ugh.
Well, the idea was initially, right? It's like, well, Mike Babcock's gone, and he was a hard-ass piece of shit. Look at what he did to Mitch Marner. But here's the team-friendly coach in Sheldon Keefe. 3 years later, it still hasn't fucking worked.
Look at what he didn't do to Mitch Marner. Like, yeah.
You gotta have somebody else in there in a different voice, bare minimum. They are the most interesting team to watch this offseason because Brendan Shanahan could be gone. Kyle Dubas could be gone. His contract's up as well. Sheldon Keefe could be gone. Should be gone. Matthews could be out. Marner could be out. Nylander could be out. They got a bunch of UFAs already that are already going to go, meaning they have to try to recultivate the depth if they do decide to keep the big four. I mean, Jesus. Like, what was... And again, we were talking about Gustafsson. Like, with Sheldon Keefe. Like, okay, Zach Aston Reese played 1 of 5. Fine, whatever. He wasn't that impressive. Eric Gustafsson played 1 of 5. The fuck are you doing having Eric Gustafsson play just 1 game? Justin Hall plays 3 out of 5. Now, granted, Hall's a righty, Gustafsson's a lefty. But based off of what, like, the disconnect between Keefe and Dubas seems crazy to me, given that you gave up Rasmus Sandin to get Eric Gustafsson and what looks now, what is the Bruins' first-round pick this year. But still, you give up Rasmus Sandin to get Gustafsson, and then Gustafsson plays 1 game of the second round?
Stupid.
And that was probably the biggest fumble that he had right there. In the same way that Babcock loved, who was Babcock's favorite player? I can't fucking remember. They traded them away after as well.
Probably Matt Martin.
Yeah, Matt Martin. The way he threw like Matt Martin there and like Komarov in there for the playoffs, the same way that Sheldon Keefe loves Justin Hall. Like, it's just like you don't. I think their best game they had was when Paul wasn't playing.
Shen.
He said he was killing penalties over Luke Shen, which I am now. Yeah. I need to quickly look up. I want to look up the ice time.
Ice time. One of the games I think Hull had the most ice time at all the defensemen. By the way.
Yeah.
Look this up. So let's see. He did. By the way, that was a thing. Average time on ice. Justin Hall, 21 minutes and 53 seconds in the 3 games.
Jesus.
He had more average ice time than Jake McCabe, than Luke Shen, than Timothy Liljegren. Eric Gustafsson only played 12 and a half minutes in the 1 game he played. Mark Giordano was sheltered at just 11 and a half minutes.
Makes sense.
The only defenders to play more time than Justin Hall were TJ Brody and Morgan Riley. Sheldon Keefe, at the very least, like, that's the first domino to fall, and then we just see how much is left from there. I wrote down the question of what's next for the Leafs. Who the fuck knows?
By the way, Justin Hall is 31.
Yeah, so
did you guys know that?
He was a Chicago pick and toiled away in the minors for a bit before finally getting a chance.
I always thought this time he's like mid-20s, like, and he was supposed to be getting better, and he just wasn't getting better.
Holy shit!
Yeah, isn't that?
I had no idea. I thought it was. I thought it was like mid to late 20s.
Yeah, he was a 2010 draft pick. Yeah, 2010.
I was
selected.
shocked when I looked on Cap Friendly and saw that. I was legitimately shocked.
What?
Yeah, he was technically a part of the Dustin Byfuglien trade to the Atlanta Thrashers too.
Right, and he's famous for his scoring 2 back-to-back goals in his only 2 games of the 17-18 season, and everyone loved him. And then they brought him up for 19-20, and he shot the. I don't want to say he didn't shit the bed because he had 43 points. Like, he can put up numbers, but he's just bad in his own end.
So
And
Justin
the
Hall,
Leafs don't need
So
another.
put him on the
scoring-
penalty kill.
Yeah, the Leafs don't need another scoring defenseman. Like, we had one in Sandine, he was perfectly fine. And then you're like, oh, we're gonna put Hall to replace him in that position, and he's just not.
Justin Hall in 2010 was selected 54th overall. The 66th overall pick, Radko Gudas.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
It's funny how these things line up, aren't they? So, yeah, I mean, again, we'll obviously follow the Leafs throughout the offseason, but Jesus Christ. And that brings us to our final little talking point. Carolina, Florida is the Eastern Conference Final, a.k.a. the Gary Bettman wet dream. I'm excited for this series because so many people are convinced that, nope, this is the time that Florida gets their show run. You might go 0 for 3 on that prediction based off of how good they've been, because Matthew Tkachuk was quoted at the end of that series against the Leafs saying, "We don't hear many. We want Florida's at the moment right now, and God, does that feel good." And you are fucking feeding into the Matthew Tkachuk bullshit of, see, look, everyone thinks we're going to get fucking stomped. And that's how they've gotten here. I said on Twitter, I've equated him to this. Matthew Tkachuk is the hero of the family-friendly fucking movie where, oh, how is the family going to... They're in such turmoil. Matthew Tkachuk shows up, kicks the door open in his leather jacket. Get in, losers. We're going to the fucking cup final. Like, that is what he has done to this Panthers team that shit themselves in the second round last year against Tampa. He is exactly what they fucking needed, and people are feeding into it again of Carolina's just gonna storm them out of there because it's a hurricane, you know. Dude, like, why? Are you dumb? Are you dumb that you're feeding into this again? Jesus fuck. Anyway, Canes in 4.
Just hearing you go to like the almost like Torontonian, are you dumb? Like, just killing me. Oh,
this
man.
series is going to be a bloodbath, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
Yeah,
because it's two teams that I refuse to doubt anymore.
I'll finally watch some Carolina games, dude.
There you go.
I legit have barely watched in this playoffs. They're just not a team that interests me, and it might be just bias, and I don't think I like the way they play. But I'm going to watch it now because I want to. The matchup between them and Florida is going to be insane. Because again, Carolina is a puck possession heavy team. They're more grindy puck possession than, you know, Boston or Toronto, obviously, but
right,
they still rely on that, and Florida doesn't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Take your deserve to win-o-meter and shove it up your ass the second Florida takes the ice, because they don't care. And by the way, that thing is also based on faulty stats. I remember the one of these games, I forget what it was, and I'm looking at it like how they judge that the Leafs deserve to win that games, and Marner had 2 listed giveaways. And I'm like, motherfucker, I saw him cough the puck up 5 times minimum. How does he only have 2 giveaways? Some of the stats are faulty, the way these certain analytics platforms are basing it off of.
A lot of that is based off of the scorekeeper at the game.
Yeah.
Giveaway take is subjective. It's been known for, I mean, and Islanders fans might disagree because it's just been perpetuated for so long that, like, the guy running the thing for the Islanders would just be like, oh, hey, that's 2 hits instead of 1 for Cal Clutterbuck because, hey, it's Cal Clutterbuck. So, I mean, so many of those stats are an imperfect science, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell to predict for this series. And again, in terms of who do I think will win, who do I want to win? I think the Hurricanes will win it. I'm not against them winning it. I want the Panthers to win it because it's fucking hilarious, and the Panthers had never won a cup before. So
yeah, I also at this point I'm all aboard the Panthers train, dude. Like I said, I did want the Leafs to win last series at the beginning, and then they completely just shit the bed. And I still had that sicko part of me who wanted them to come back from three down and win, just because that's hilarious, and also just to put it on like, hey, Kachuk, what happened? Like, you were underdogs coming in, but then you had that 3-game advantage, and oh, well, no one thought we were going to win. You were up 3 games. Like, yeah, I would love to see that, but no, I want Florida to do it because, God damn it, if Matthew Tkachuk isn't a fun player to watch in the playoffs.
And the back and forths in terms of post-game quotes between Rod Brindamore and Matthew Tkachuk should be fantastic entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Endo, any opinions?
No, we're good. I just want to talk about something that just happened on Twitter not too long ago, because this has been a long episode. Pierre LeBrun on Twitter says, Penguins were aiming to interview 10 to 12 GM candidates as part of their first wave via Zoom. You're not going to believe the names here. Mark Bergevin.
I was going to be the first guy I was going to guess.
Yeah. Eric Tulsky, Jason Carmanos, and the legend himself, the man, the myth, the guy who signed goalies and did all that stuff, Peter Chiarelli, confirmed as being among the 10, 12 candidates who were interviewed. Now comes second phase for some of them.
Pittsburgh
Dude, Peter Chiarelli.
I believe I saw Bergevin's name being thrown out there for Calgary as well. So,
oh my God.
Boys Club, baby. Boys Club. That's the real Gary Bettman wet dream. The same 5 people getting the same 5 jobs. It's delightful.
Oh, man. I wonder what overseas goalie Chiarelli's going to pick up again. Jesus.
Oh, God. It'll be a great time. Bring back
Scott Darling.
Oh, God. Well, no, I'm thinking of like Bruins goalies, Edmonton goalie. I mean, he was the one that signed Koskinen for the Oilers. He had
free Mike DiPietro from the depths.
Bring back Nicholas Svedberg.
Oh my God.
What about Jonas Gustafsson? Is he still an active goaltender? Bruins and Leafs legend. He's 38 years old.
I'm looking at like the situation with the Pens, and I think if a goalie needs to go anywhere to that system with Wilkes-Barre, it's got to be Mikey DiPietro. Give him some time to play, because he has just been sandwiched. First he was sandwiched with Thatcher Demko, Markstrom, and then now he goes over. He's sandwiched by Swayman, Allmark, the Bussy Bandit, Brandon Bussy, and now he's just like, all right, I guess I'm gonna be a fringe ECHLer because there's no way for me to get up. Kind of like how Zach Fucali got his first NHL starts last year, and he was drafted in like the early 10s.
So it's Carolina crazy. And Florida. With that, we'll wind things down because it has been a longer show. Gentlemen, we have a decision to make. 4 options. Gary Bettman wet dream. Mouth pleasing. Big number go up. Or Sin Stiffy.
Ew, no.
Okay. I'll rule that one out.
Yeah, what the fuck? You're sick.
It's an option. It might draw in the viewers. You never know.
I'm making OnlyFans if they want to see that shit.
There you go.
Oh my God.
And what do you have going on here as we go through yet another week?
Yeah.
Nothing. Cool. Sin, what do you have going on?
I got my MLB The Show Road to the Show on YouTube.
Yeah, you do.
And goddamn, is it fun. Just had a really good episode. Thicky. My other hitting episode. I got a great system down. One video of like the 4 days of hitting, then the pitching video. It's fantastic. It's great, and it's such a fun series. Very meme-worthy. R.A. Thicky is a beast. And he's learning how to produce now in the AA, too.
There you go. In the meantime, I have begun the Maple Leafs rebuild on Twitch, uploading it to YouTube as well to offset the WHL series or the WHA series that we have going on. We've had a lot of fun with that, which is which is a great time.
I had a lot of fun with that. Was the first series I did for NHL 23, and good God, so glad I did it. Because I essentially predicted the Ryan O'Reilly trade.
It's the way to do it. That is the way. But yeah, with that, we will call it quits. By the next episode, we will know the final four in the NHL. Until then, and until next time, we'll see y'all later.